or welcome to the Right Now Project. The Right Now Project is dedicated to anyone who's going through a struggle and is seeking help, information, support, and inspiration. Probably most of all, your struggle might be overwhelmed with everything going on in the world right now. It might be anxiety, loss, addiction, grief, trauma, divorce, on and on. The Right Now Project is about creating a space through this podcast where people can come without judgment to share their story and all of its incredibleness and not so greatness. My belief is we need each other to heal. We're inspired by each other's stories, each other's strength, and each other's courage. Share your story and watch what happens. Do we believe enough in ourselves to take that step to our healing journey? I mean, my belief is that's a lot of this. It's a lot of believing that, yeah, we deserve to be healed. We can heal. And my challenge to you, and one of the reasons why I created this, is because I wanted to invite you to share your story. Share your story and watch what happens. I am inspired by reading about how you're moving through whatever it is you're moving through. It doesn't matter if it's loss or grief or addiction or anxiety. I'm not talking about necessarily severe trauma on the far end of the spectrum here, but just the overwhelm of day-to-day life. I mean, that we all experience sometimes. But for me to first of all, to see you step up and share your journey is inspiring to me. It lets me know that I'm not alone, that we're not alone. We need each other to heal. We need to know that we're not the only ones who don't have it all figured out and maybe need a little help, a little inspiration, a little push to get going. But I think for me, it took me a long time to honestly, and it's kind of embarrassing to say, but it's taken me a long time to honestly, truly, fully believe in myself, because of feelings that I wasn't smart enough. That happened. I've talked about that before. That happened when I was younger, and I was looking at a new school with my mom. I don't know. I must have been like 11, 12. And I remember we were out on the field checking out the sports facilities and so forth. And I remember that this administrative guy was talking to my mom, and I was just walking around the field. And I just remember overhearing him say that, I don't know, he's not really, eligible given his grades and da-da-da-da-da. And I heard that. I overheard that. And it just made me feel like that sunk into me. Why did it sink into me? I don't know, but it did, and it really impacted the trajectory of my life, of my self-esteem. And, and then I had been bullied before that, but these things that maybe don't impact other people impact us. And we have to realize that. And I think realizing that, right? Realizing that thing over there or that experience over there impacted me and made me compensate in whatever way. But realizing that, being self-aware and admitting that to ourselves is part of that first step and of saying, look, I want to get help. When I was interviewing, or as I'm interviewing people on my other podcast, the Trauma Therapist podcast, I interview seasoned therapists about how the heck they get into the field of trauma. On and on and on, I would hear how important it was, or hear them share how important it was for them to be who they were. yes, and in addition to knowledge about trauma and knowledge about how trauma impacts the brain and the body, but not just that, but also about how important it is for them to be who they are, to allow their vulnerability and their presence to come through, and to not hide it, to not put that on the back burner. And for so long, I was doing that. I wasn't, I went into graduate school not believing that, not realizing how important it was for me to be me, for me to be who I was, that was okay. And that's what this podcast is about. That's what the membership site is about, for you to come and to know that whoever you are, whatever you are, however you are, is just the way it should be, is perfect. Yes, you can, of course, improve yourself and get better in any kind of area you want to. But I'm not judging you. And you better believe it. The people in this group are not judging you. We're not here for that. It's about believing in ourselves that we're enough. Jesus, we're enough. I mean, how awesome is that, And look, I don't have it all figured out. I don't. But I'll tell you one thing. Over the course of the last several months, things have been happening to me that have made me wake up and realize that, and to step up and say, you know what? I want to work on this. I want to get this better. I want to create a community. This is a community that I want to build of people who want to share about what they're going through, whatever it is. Whatever it is. I mean, look, we're all going through something. We all are. It's part of the human condition. You might be riding a high for now, but we all do it, and that's the way it goes. But we also need to reach out sometimes. I believe we need to reach out sometimes, and it's not always easy. It's not always easy to look at ourselves, to look at our story and say, you know what? Man, I don't like what I did back there. Or why did that have to happen? Why didn't this happen? But that reflection takes discipline. It takes time. It takes work. It takes attention. It takes intention and attention, right? This is a process that I think a lot of therapists need to do. Not all of them do. Some of them do. But once we, when we meet someone, right? When we encounter someone who you can tell is comfortable with who they are, loves who they are, who is present, right? Who is in the moment. They're not trying to change anything. They're able to be spontaneous and creative, and they're not worrying about any number of things that I seem to be worrying about in the moment. But when we meet those people, when we encounter those people, we're attracted to them, right? Not in the romantic sense, but we're just, whoa, they're just in their human beingness. They're in the moment. They're able to be creative, spontaneous, right? And they're able to be vulnerable and allow that vulnerability to come through, right? When we encounter that in someone, again, we feel it. When we encounter that in a therapist, right? And look, I'm not promoting therapy here. It's just a lot of what I know. But when we encounter that in a therapist, it allows us as the client to think, to feel, and maybe for the first time that, hey, I can be vulnerable. I can allow my quote unquote faults and quote unquote weaknesses to shine through, to peek through, to sneak through. No one's going to judge them. I can just be myself. Man, that is powerful. That is empowering. That's what I'm hoping I can do with this podcast. So if you want to jump on board, if you want to join us on this mission to create a community of people who are supporting one another, who are cheering one another on and championing each other in our separate journeys and in our collective journey of healing, join me at therightnowproject.com. I want to hear you. I want to be inspired by you. I want to engage with you, and I want to create an incredible community, and I'd love you to be a part of it. Join us at therightnowproject.com.